Coming up on Network Africa. Unidentified gunmen kidnap an Italian aid worker in southeast Kenya. Security forces in Cameroon rescue 9 students and a teacher after a raid on a camp of separatist fighters. And the World Health Organization says reduction in malaria cases have stalled after several years of decline globally. Hello and welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Teniola Shoboale. We begin today in Kenya, where a 23-year-old Italian aid worker has been abducted by a group of unidentified gunmen in the southeast of the country. Police say the armed men fired indiscriminately before taking the volunteer from a trading center in Kilifi County. 5 people, including 3 children, were wounded and taken to hospital. The reason for the attack and the identity of the attackers have not yet been established. However, the police say they are treating the incident as a terror attack. This is the first foreigner to be kidnapped in Kenya since the country had a spate of abductions threaten its tourism resurgence in 2011. Staying on in Kenya, lawmakers have debated a bill that would allocate a third of all seats in parliament to women, with campaigners optimistic it would pass despite previous failures. The union says women hold 23% of seats in Kenya's lower and upper houses of parliament combined. This is at par with the global average, but lower than neighbors Rwanda, Ethiopia and Burundi. Kenya's 2010 constitution states that no more than 2/3 of any elected or appointed political bodies can be of the same gender, but does not set out a mechanism for attaining that goal. The new bill proposed by MP Aiden Duell provides for special seats to be created if elections fail to achieve the required numbers, with female candidates nominated to fill them. The police in Zambia have questioned main opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema for allegedly fueling attacks against Chinese nationals in the country's second city of Kitwe. Police chief of Copperbelt Province, Charity Katanga, says the politician was questioned for alleging that President Edgar Lungu's administration had sold a state-run timber company to a Chinese company, sparking protest. She adds that he has been cautioned for sedition. Anti-China sentiment has grown in Zambia over allegations that lucrative contracts are being awarded to China. President Lungu's administration has also been accused of burdening the country with loans borrowed from China that it is struggling to pay. However, the government has dismissed the allegations. In Cameroon, all 9 students and a teacher kidnapped from a school in the English-speaking region have been freed. The private school on the outskirts of Kumba in the southwest region's Mima district had come under attack from gunmen on motorbikes on Tuesday. The authorities have blamed separatist fighters for the abduction. A senior government official says that 3 students were released on Tuesday night as troops raided a separatist camp, killing 2 fighters and capturing 1. This allowed 7 of the hostages to escape. The other 6 students and a teacher were abandoned by the gunmen as they were chased by the security forces. The teacher is said to be receiving medical attention in the hospital, while the students have been handed over to their parents. Security expert Chidi Nwonu joins us live on the program to tell us more about this. Thanks for joining us on the program, Chidi.
Thanks for having me.
So this latest kidnapping comes barely 3 weeks after 79 school children, a teacher and principal were kidnapped from a secondary school in Bamenda. Why are school children being repeatedly targeted, and can they be better protected?
Well, the difficulty that you will have with protecting institutions like schools is that they're well first, centered around the community. So it's very difficult, to kind of have a holistic way of protecting them. Well, what's the reason why they're being targeted, goes back to the original genesis of the crisis, which is the annual lawyer complaining about lessons being given in French, about examples being given in French. This more or less, was the nucleus of their dispute, of their crisis. So the insurgents are kind of taking that to its natural institution by saying that anybody in the school that where they're teaching intervention, you have to do exams, it's essentially betraying their cause. So by that method, they're targeting students. Another kind of allegation is that security forces are encouraging target students because it gives separatists a bad name, and also it's an avenue for making money out of ransom.
Well, the authorities have blamed separatist fighters for the abduction, but the separatists claim the government is framing them for these kidnapping. What do you make of these accusations and counter-accusations?
Well, there's obviously an element of truth in everything, and also, it's clear that, within any conflict, truth is the first casualty. So, whilst insurgents have very clearly targeted schools, because as I mentioned earlier, it's all part of their narrative of, schools being used to, change Anglophone students from English speaking to French speaking. Also, criminal gangs have taken this opportunity, much the same way as happening in Nigeria, in the Niger Delta, where, criminal gangs then took advantage of the insurgency to start kidnapping for ransom. And the security forces have been accused, there's no evidence as yet, of encouraging these kidnappings in order to discredit the insurgents. So it's a very confused and unfortunate situation in which the students are used, by all parties to further their aims.
Okay, like you mentioned, these kidnapping brings to mind the Chibok schoolgirls abduction and the Dapchi schoolgirl kidnapping in northern Nigeria. Is it possible, though, for Boko Haram militants who are also active in Cameroon to take advantage of the crisis in the country to, take these vulnerable school children?
It's unlikely. It's because Boko Haram operates very much up north, in the extreme north region. Coming further south, you still have the North region, the Adamawa region, and then you come down to the southwest and northwest, which are next to Nigeria, Taraba State, and Cross River State. So you're talking about different tribes, different religions, different geography altogether from what's happening up in the north. What's unfortunate is that neither side seems to understand that all Boko Haram achieved a lot of its notoriety from kidnapping school children, and there is no way that doing this furthers their cause. But for Boko Haram to come down and continue their actions is very unlikely. It's a completely different kind of setup.
What can the international community do in this Cameroon crisis?
The key thing is that there has to be an intervention. There has to be a method whereby both sides are brought to the table. The Cameroonian government, this was a very straightforward problem. It was simply lawyers, academics, intellectuals stating that we're not happy with, our Anglophone traditions, which were the whole understanding, when Cameroon came together was that both traditions, the Anglophone and the Francophone, will be respected. They complained about this, and then rather than having their complaints dealt with, on a normal level, they suffered serious repression and persecution, which led to this insurgency. So the key thing, there has to be an intervention by ECOWAS, by other regional powers to say that there needs to be a ceasefire and there needs to be some sort of a confidence building measures that will allow the Anglophones to step back from violence and also give the Cameroonian government the ability to impose law and order. So there has to be some sort of an international intervention that takes away the kind of impetus for this to continue down the road of violence.
Security expert Chidi Nwanu, thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you, Pavel.